Hello beauties and welcome back to my channel. I hope y'all are having a dope day. We're having a good day over here. I've been pretty quiet, trying to knock some work out. Today I'm back with some more book content. We got some bookish content in the house. Those of you who have been tuning into my bookish videos have been loving them. So thank you to you guys. It's definitely like not the most watched thing on my channel, but I love that the people who watch them really love them and engage with them, and that's all I ever want. I love sharing book recs. I love talking to you guys about what I'm reading, so as long as there are those of you who want to watch it, I'm going to keep making it. So as promised, we have a book haul. It's bigger than I thought it was going to be. So if you're interested in seeing what books I picked up, because your girl got some good stuff, then just keep on watching. I gotta share my book of the month. I literally just picked out my book of the month for February today. And I'm not gonna lie, they were really disappointing. I mean, it's fucking Black History Month. Like, I wasn't expecting that much, but like, I'm very much side-eyeing them. I've enjoyed my subscription. This is the only subscription I've ever had for a year. And because I have been with them for a year, I got a little, like a tote bag, which is going to be my library bag because me and the library have been tight these days. I still buy a ton of shit though. Ain't that a shame? And then they sent me like this little notepad thing. The first one that I got is called Age of Vice by Dipti Kapoor. And the premise of this sounded really interesting. It almost kind of gives like action movie type vibes. So I'm really excited about this. This is the Age of Vice, where pleasure and power are everything, and the family ties that bind can also kill. She's a thickums. Like, she's thickalicious. So I'm excited to read this. I was also excited that we got some romance from an author that was not white. And I picked out Lunar Love by Jessen. And this is about kind of like a matchmaker rivalry. The main character owns like an old school matchmaking business, and good homie moves in on her territory, and they end up in kind of like this fake dating situation to kind of boost both of their businesses. Really excited to read this. I love the tropes in this. It kind of gives me the vibes of what is it called? The Kiss Curse. But it kind of gives me similar vibes to that without the magic aspect of it. And then I also got The Reunion from Kayla Olsen. And this, I believe, is a second chance romance. And kind of set in that like TV drama setting. So I was really excited about this too, and I just thought the cover was really super cute. So those were the three that I got. This is the first time since I've had book of the month that I got 3 from the actual like book of the month picks from the month, because I felt like all of them were like too good to pass up. But yeah, February book of the month was really disappointing. I did get an add-on for February. I can't remember the name of the title, but it looked really interesting. If you guys were on my live stream last Sunday, then you know that I started reading this. This is Twisted Hate from Huang. This is the 3rd book in the Twisted series. I've talked about this a lot in my last few videos. The Twisted series is a series of interconnected standalones that follow a group of girlfriends. 4 girls: Ava, Bridget, Jules, and Stella. Jules is this book, and she is fallen for Ava's brother Josh. They've always had an enemies kind of thing going on. They've always kind of hated each other, but they start a kind of like not so friends with benefits relationship that ends with the 2 of them falling for each other, because it always ends that way, right? So far I'm really liking this, even though I still think Twisted Games is my favorite. Reese is my man, okay? I love me some Reese Larson. And I love Bridget too. But I actually am enjoying Josh more. I did not like Josh very much in Twisted Love, but I do like him. He's growing on me. He's a grower. But I haven't gotten into the 3rd act breakup, but I know it's coming, so And I also picked up Twisted Lies by Huang. Because of course I had to go ahead and get it. I think when I purchased these were on buy one get one half off at Barnes & Noble, so I went ahead and got both of them since I already do own the first two, Twisted Love and Twisted Games. So this one is Stella's book. This is Stella and Christian. And if you have been reading the Twisted series, you see Christian a lot throughout the Twisted series. You really get to know him a little bit more in Twisted Games because he was Reese's boss at the time. Then he comes back in Twisted Hate because he is the person that owns Jules and Stella's building. And that kind of starts interlaps in this book. I'm really excited to read this. Stella is an influencer, so I am really excited to read more about her because I feel like out of all the girls, you get the least about Stella. Like, she's kind of like in her own space in her head. Like, she's a busy bee. So I'm really excited to read about her. I feel like Stella and Christian may have competition for Reese and Bridget for me because I already know I like Christian. I've liked him in everything. And he pops up in the most recent series from Huang, King of Wrath. Yeah. King of Wrath is set in like the same world as the Twisted series. So Christian comes up in King of Wrath, and I loved him in that too. So I already know I'm gonna love Christian in this. I think this has like some stalker romance elements to it too. So I'm excited to read it and check it out. I love the rest of the series, so I already know I'm gonna love Twisted Lies. Y'all know me and JL Seegars are like peanut butter and jelly, some of my favorite Black romance out there. So I had to pick up Revive Me Part 2 once it came out. Finally came out on paperback. So I have Part 1 on my shelf. I haven't opened it yet, but I do have Part 2. Part of me kind of wants to wait to read until Part 3 comes out because I know I'm going to be heartbroken. They don't get their HEA until Part 3. But at the same time, I'm like, I need to go ahead and work on this. I know this shit is going to have me in tears. And then I also got her novella called Again. This is a really quick read. Another second chance romance. Jax and Amina have been divorced for some time after an assumed cheating scandal with Jax. They were going through a lot. She thought that he cheated, and she just asked for a divorce, and he gave it to her. The two are reunited because his brother and her sister are getting married, and they are accompanying them as, you know, best man and maid of honor. And this is the chance that Jax takes to win his wife back. It was so good. You know, novellas are a great way to get into figuring out if you like an author. But this right here, like the way that she really took just like less than 100 pages, like a little over 100 pages, and literally like broke my heart and put it back together, was just immaculate. I love Jax and Amina. I honestly could take a whole book about them, not just a novella. They're not set in the New Haven world, but you do get little mentions of New Haven in there. But I love this couple. I love this novella. If you're just looking for something quick, you just want like a really quick, scrumptious second chance romance with a really great spice. Yeah. I recently took a chance at my local Target, and they actually had things that I wanted to read. Usually they don't, but this time they did. I have heard a lot about this. I'm gonna have to like get my blow dryer out to take the stickers off. I hate these stickers. This is called Vanessa Jared's Got a Man by LaQuette. And I am really excited to read this. I saw this all over TikTok a while ago, and the cover got me. If there's a Black girl on the cover, what am I gonna do? Right. The cover was beautiful, and the premise of the story really got me. A sexy, funny romantic drama about a woman getting her groove back and a second chance at love. Me and second chance romance have just really been, you know, we've really been at it here. I think that's one of my things now. So I'm really excited to read this. I found the last one at my Target. So, you know, usually I don't find anything good in the book section at Target. But I finally found something. And I got a couple books by Jasmine Guillory. I read By the Book by Jasmine Guillory last year, and I liked it. A lot of people were like really going crazy about it, and to me, I was like, it was good. And that was about it. I feel like people have a very visceral reaction to Jasmine Guillory. A lot of people hate Jasmine Guillory's writing. But I didn't hate it. I just thought it was all right. So I picked up a couple more of her titles. I picked up While We Were Dating. Two people realize that it's no longer an act when they veer off script, and the sizzling romantic comedy by New York Times bestselling author Jasmine Guillory. So I thought that this would be a great one to pick up. I think this one is like in the same like world as By the Book. And I did also pick up Drunk on Love. Apparently this is like one of her first books in a while that isn't in that whole world that this and By the Book are in. This came out recently. I want to say like fall 2022. An intoxicating and sparkling new romance by New York Times bestselling author Jasmine Guillory. I was excited to read this. This sounds like it kind of sizzles a little bit more than her other books. So I'm hyped to get into this and see what it's about. I wanted to go ahead and work on my Kennedy Ryan backlist. And I had to get Long Shot, and I had to get it in the special edition cover. This is book 1 in her Hoops series. Now, I think these are like all interconnected standalones, and she has said that you don't have to read them in order, but I'm the type of person I like to read them in order because I do like to have context. Think you know what it's like being a baller's girl? You don't. A fairy tale is upside down. A happily never after. I kissed the prince, and he turned into a fraud. I was a fool and his love, fool's gold. Now there's a new player in the game, August West, one of the NBA's brightest stars. Fine, forbidden, he wants me, I want him, but my past, my fraudulent prince, just won't let me go. I'm really excited to read this. Now, I have been given some heavy trigger warnings on this, so if you decide to pick this up, just do know that this does deal with domestic violence, and so if you are not prepared for that, I would not suggest. But I'm really excited to read this. I already know that Kennedy Ryan is capable of breaking my heart and putting it back together because The Way Before I Let Go had me in shambles and in love. Yes. But I'm really excited to read this. I've heard so many amazing things about the Hoop series, and I also want to go ahead and pick up her books from the Kingmaker series. I think she's actually getting traditionally published for both. I think she's getting traditionally published for Hoops and the Kingmaker series, so I'm trying to get all the books in the Hoop series before they get traditionally published because I want these covers. When it came in yesterday, this was the book that I was waiting on so I could do the haul. It got lost in the mail. Like, it was just somewhere in Kentucky, and I was about to just give up, but it just popped up yesterday. This is a new book called Terms of Inheritance. I follow the author on TikTok, and I saw the premise of the book, and I was like, this sounds really, really cute. Forced to marry under the vindictive pretenses of an evil dead man, Clementine and Oaxaca must figure out how to maneuver a life that neither of them chose but are both growing to like. But no matter how much they like it, is it a life that's built to last? I'm really excited to read this. Forced marriage, forced proximity. I'm really excited to get into this, and I love being able to support debut authors and their debut novels. I also picked up and have already read a couple of these. I needed a good romance palette cleanser, so I picked this one up. This is Ignite by Melanie Harlow, and this is book 1 in the Cloverleaf Farms series. I think this is like the Cloverleaf Farms second generation, so there's like an original Cloverleaf Farms series, and then this chronicles like the kids that were born from those romances and their adult ages. This is age gap Grumpy Sunshine, the main female character who is like a hopeless romantic. She falls in love easily, and she gets a brand new neighbor who is a grumpy firefighter with 2 daughters. And she meets the daughters first, who are super adorable, hilarious, just like shit-talking kids. They are immediately obsessed with her, and their connection to her forges her connection with their dad, and they end up falling for each other. He's hesitant because, I mean, he's a grumpus and he feels like he's just too old for her, but they both fall, and they fall hard. I love this so much. You know, a lot of times I feel like books where the kids are heavily prevalent can be very annoying, because sometimes it's like authors kind of use them to kind of get in the way of what's supposed to be happening. But the author didn't do that with these kids. These kids are hilarious. Like, they really kept old boy on his toes. But they were so precious. And the way they just, like, instantly attached to Winnie was just, like, everything. I love Dex and Winnie. They're so cute. Dex is just so grumpy, and he's kind of mean, but he means well. He's just trying to focus on being a good dad, and Winnie just wants to find love. This was really, really good. I picked up the special edition, and I think I'm going to continue on with the series, because I think the next one is about her best friend, and an old rival from high school of hers. So if you're looking for a really good, like, small town Grumpy Sunshine romance, get Ignite. It was really good, really cute, and, like, actually really hilarious. Totally different wavelength, y'all. I picked up these books because of one of my favorite TikTokers. Her name's Angela, and I saw, like, a post that she did, like, you know, one of the aesthetic, like, quote posts, and I saw it, and I was like, that sounds like some kinky shit. I'm gonna buy it. And this is a full series that starts off with a novella. And I think this novella is actually very popular. It's called The Dare by Harley Laroux. I recently talked about this in the live that I did. Your FMC goes to a party and runs into an old crush. She is the old, like, super popular cheerleader from high school. He was the outcast, the loser of the school, who ended up getting expelled for doing some not so great things. They end up engaging in a drinking game. She loses a bet, and she has to be, like, his slave for the night. Basically, it's like degradation kink, all that good stuff. But this actually ended up being really, really good, and I was really surprised that I enjoyed it. I think part of what made me enjoy it was just the way the author handled not only, like, the sexual encounters, but, like, everything in between. And I feel like even if it's not something that I'm particularly into, the way an author handles certain things, making consent clear and all of that stuff, is what will get me. And at the end of the day, I really like Jess, and I really like Manson. Even though Jess is not a very good person, it's kind of like you kind of start to see through her little act, you know, and you also can kind of see through Manson's. And by the end, he's like, you can tell he is just convinced that is going to be his girl, but that does not happen. So I got the next two books. Losers, there is part 1 and part 2. I have already read part 1. So this comes, I think, like 2 or 3 years after the Halloween party from The Dare. Jess comes back into town. She's graduated college, and she wasn't able to get a job fresh out, so she moves back home to save money, and she ends up reuniting with Manson and his friends. Now, you meet his friends for, like, all of, like, 3 minutes in The Dare, because they end up being part of The Dare. So it was really excited to meet all of them. There is a lot of heavy kink in here, okay? This is basically like a why choose polyam situation, and I love it. I love the relationship that all of the guys have together, and I love the way that they kind of make Jess drop the act and admit that she's trying to be part of the gang. She's really just spent her entire life trying to be that perfect cheerleader, pretty girl, and none of her friends are really her friends. They all kind of don't like her. But, you know, she just keeps up appearances. And being around these 4 guys makes her realize, like, hey, those people aren't my friends. But I could have real friends, you know? I've really enjoyed, like, getting the deep dive into these people's relationships. And, I mean, obviously the smut is smutting, okay? It's a lot. I think this is probably the filthiest book I've ever read. I thought that Mercy from Sarah Kate was the filthiest book I've ever read. No. It's this. So if you're not into that, then, like, this is not for you, but I really enjoyed it. I was going to try to stick to my only reading Black authors for February, but listen, I gotta know what happens in this book, okay? This is part 2. And I'm really excited to see what happens because things are kind of getting dark when it comes to Manson's dad coming back into town. So I'm really excited to see where all of this goes because now they have all admitted that they are all in love with each other. Y'all, I gotta know what happened. So, you know, I'll break that for Harley Laroux. I really enjoyed all three of these titles. So I know that Harley Laroux has other works. So I'm probably going to pick up some others because, like I said, I really love the way they handle a lot of these taboo situations. And I love the way they handle the kinks and consent. And that right there, like, instant reader. This was like the first book I bought this year. And I think I'm going to start working on this week. This is Highly Suspicious and Unfairly Cute from Talia Hibbert. This is her first YA romance, and I'm really excited to get into it. I don't read a lot of YA romance. I usually read a lot of YA fantasy, so I'm excited to get into this, especially because I just feel like Talia Hibbert can do no wrong. Like, everything I've read from Talia Hibbert so far, I've loved. So when I found out this was coming out, I had to go ahead and pre-order it. So I'm really excited to get into this. And look at the artwork. It's so cute. This is another debut for author debut as well as title debut. This is The Last Minute First Lady by Tania Montfort. And I had to get, look at them. Look at them. They are fine, y'all. When I saw this, I was like, yeah, I need that. I came across the author on TikTok, and I think it was like 3 days before the book was supposed to come out. So as soon as I saw that it was dropping, I bought it. Cute, fake dating, and a little bit of politics in there too. I'm with it. So, you know, they giving a little Barack and Michelle. Look how cute they are. Yes. I also picked up the second book in the Adrian and Isolde series. This is The Queen of Myth and Monsters by Scarlett St. Clair. I've had this pre-ordered for a while. I read King of Battle and Blood like last spring, and I enjoyed it. Although, you know, somebody pointed out a few things that I really hadn't noticed while reading the book. And so I'm probably going to read this, but I don't know if I'll continue with it. I think I'm going to see how the author handles those things. For the most part, I really enjoy Scarlett St. Clair. You guys know I love the Touch of Darkness series. I've suggested that to those of you who are like trying to just lightly dip your toes into dark romance. It's really good. I really enjoy it. And I have really enjoyed this too. I love Isolde as a character. I'm not so sure how I feel about Adrian, and apparently this book might make me like Adrian less. I don't know. But I'm excited to read it, and I mean, look at the cover. The cover is just stunning, so I'll let y'all know how I feel about this once I'm finished. I have seen so many things about this author's books, and I wanted to get into them. I want to buy all of her books, honestly, but I'm trying not to be too bad. And this is A.E. Valdez. People love her work, so I'm excited to get into it. I picked up All I've Wanted, All I've Needed. Harlow Shaw feels naive for believing in happily ever afters, but she craves a love that lights her up. She thought she had it all with her boyfriend until his promising baseball career overshadows their relationship, and he asks her a life-changing question. It causes her to wonder if what they have is all she ever truly wanted. Harlow is yearning for more than the curated life she is living. A trip to Bali, a move to Seattle, and an alleged burned cup of coffee lead her to a friendship she didn't know she needed, and a love so deep she can feel it in her bones. So that is the first book, and the second book is The Beginning of Forever, which is also about Sunshine and Ace and a continuation of their story. This is more of like a novella situation. I'm excited to get into these, and the cover art for both of them is just beautiful. So I can't wait to let you guys know how I feel. I've heard nothing but amazing things, so I have a feeling that A.E. Valdez is going to be one of my new favorite authors. I feel like she's going to be up there with J.L. Seegars. I went ahead and picked this up. I've already read it. I picked it up at the library, but the author had mentioned that she's going to be doing away with these covers. The covers are going out of print, and they're going to be in a different style, and I had to have this cover, especially because I know I'm picking up the second book, and I want them to match. And that is The Final Strife by Sara El Arifi. Y'all. I mean, it's beautiful. Absolutely stunning. And I needed it. How could I not have it? I had to get this. This is like black high fantasy, kind of like West African folklore, kind of sci-fi-ish. It chronicles 3 different women on their paths to reclaiming their freedom and changing their societal situations. And this book is more of Sela's book. You're introduced to her. She is heavily struggling with a drug addiction. And she was formerly part of a group called the Final Strife. They were stolen away from their beds as babies, and they are all children of the upper echelon of this society. They're stolen away and trained to basically fight against their mothers and fathers and to take over this society. Basically given away. All of them are killed. And Sela and her mom are the last 2 standing, or so she thinks. One of her best friends and like former lover comes back from the dead basically and tells her like, we need to do this. She decides that she's going to at least try until she discovers who it was that had taken her place as a baby. And she goes after this young lady kind of out of anger, and she ends up basically being kidnapped by her and being forced to help her with the trials as opposed to being in the trials herself. And she ends up falling for her too. So this is like female, sapphic, romance. There's a lot going on here, and if I explain too much more, I'll give away a lot of really important points of the plot. But I love this so much. It's detailed. It is probably one of the most inclusive stories that I've ever read. There's non-binary representation. There's trans representation. You know, it's sapphic. There are just so many things about this book that I absolutely love. And every single chapter just had me on the edge of my seat. I am rooting for everybody in this book, okay? I love the women in this book, but I'm also rooting for the people that kind of screwed up too, because I want them, I feel like they still deserve happily ever afters, you know what I'm saying? Like, they still deserve to live in a world that is good. So I'm really excited for the second one. The second one is The Battle Drum, but I just had to have this beautiful woman on my shelf. This is the sequel to Skin of the Sea. This is Soul of the Deep by Natasha Bowen. I read Skin of the Sea last year and it was absolutely phenomenal. And look at that, y'all, the cover. The covers of these books are absolutely beautiful. This is more West African folklore focused around the Mamiwata, Black Mermaids. I'm really excited to see what happens in the second book. My girl made a choice that I did not see coming at the end of the first book. So I'm really curious to see what happens. There is a little bit of a romance subplot. But yeah, this is really good. If you love mythology, if you love West African folklore, and you love mermaids, definitely check this out. I've been wanting to read some Toni Morrison. So I bought some Toni Morrison. I picked up Beloved. I also have Sula on the way, and a couple of others too in these vintage paperback prints. So I went ahead and picked this up because I feel like it's just kind of ridiculous that I don't have any Toni Morrison on my shelf. I feel like I need to. So I'm really excited to get into this. I have not read Beloved. My mom told me that she struggled with it. So I'm preparing my heart. And then I also picked up All About Love from Bell Hooks. I love Bell Hooks. I was introduced to Bell Hooks in college. Remains one of my favorite Black authors. So this was one that I wanted to go ahead and have in my collection and wanted to read for the month. So All About Love. And I also want to get, there are a few more titles from Bell Hooks that I want to put on my shelf, and also a few more titles from James Baldwin because I love James Baldwin. I have A Lot Like Adios and You Had Me at Hola by Alexis Daria. I've read her novella What the Hex on Audible last year, and I knew that I wanted to go ahead and pick up her book. So I'm really excited to read these. I know that there are more coming out. There's another one in this series coming out, and then Alexis Daria also has another book coming out for a different series. So I plan on picking up both, but I did want to share these. The album art is beautiful. I've heard nothing but amazing things. All right, so that is it for my book haul. It's not as crazy as the last book haul I did, but I do have a lot here. But y'all know I read a lot and I reread my books, so I never feel bad about having a lot of paperback editions. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. I'm curious to see what books are you buying, but what books are you reading. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.
Maybe I've been going nowhere lately. It's time to start all over and go for it. 'Cause they don't even know me yet. But that's something I don't regret. Every night I close my eyes and see only love into dreams, baby.